Over the years on the Dale's Diary, one place has stood out as the embodiment of the kind of remoteness we associate with the real hill country. It's Tanhill in Arkengarthdale, a great expanse of wonderful bleak moorland in the high Pennines. At the centre of it all is a solitary building, the Tanhill Inn, at more than 1,700 feet above sea level, reputedly the highest pub in England. It's a place where none but the brave survive, so it's hardly surprising that throughout its history it's had a number of landlords and landladies. Some were legendary, others merely transitory, as the terrible winters encouraged them to seek warmer climes. But the present incumbents, the Baines family, have passed all the tests. Originally from Bronte country, they took over the famous watering hole 14 years ago. Margaret, it seems a strange choice of a pub to run, the highest in England. What made you do it?
I think it was actually a moment of madness. We were sat at home, we lived in a cottage in Gargrave, roses round the door, gorgeous place. This advert came on television, well, it was a documentary actually, and then they said, the pub is now for sale. And Alex said, I think we'll buy that. I said, don't be stupid, we've never had a pub. Within a week, we're up here looking at it, and we bought it at auction. And it's really bizarre, really. I don't know why, but we've been here 14 years. So.
And no roses round the door up here?
Definitely not, no. I did try to plant one once. I bought Alec one for his birthday. It's called Alexander, and the sheep ate it, so it's a complete waste.
Well, the sheep got it before the coal got it.
Exactly, yeah.
Come on, what do you want? Come on, will you? Just get us a packet of cheese and onion. Oh, that's You don't need Gary Lineker and people, do you?
What was it like the first winter here?
Well, worst winter we've had, this first winter we're here. We were snowing in for about 6 weeks, on and off.
Now, they always say about the high country, don't they, that if you can survive the first winter, you'll survive anything.
Well,
and you got a right bad one.
in that case, yes, we had a right bad one, yes, we did. Worst we've had, anyway.
Were you having second thoughts at any stage along the way?
No, it didn't bother me a bit. We'd had enough, maybe, bit time it thawed and mended, you know.
So what did you do? Just batten down the hatches and decided to stick it out?
Oh, yes, I would no thoughts about leaving or out like that, no.
It was built for coal mining, evidently, and drove us in. It's on the old funeral road, and it was registered as a pub in the 16th century, and it's been registered, but we don't know how long before that it was a pub, because you didn't have to register them before then. It used to be called King's Pit, and it's just down the road from here, and they used to come from Middlesbrough, Darlington, all over the horse and carts to pick the coal up, and you still find a bit of coal, but they don't mine it anyway. My boys won't go and dig ours, so we have to buy it, you know.
As you can imagine, it's not the kind of place that's heaving with regulars, but it does have some. Clifford Harker farms in the wildest part of Upper Swaledale, above the village of Keld. He was born and brought up at the top of Arkengarthdale, not far from Tanhill.
I think the first time I ever went to Tanhill was with my father and a chap called Simon Coates, who used to drive the snowplough. And then I've always been connected with Tanhill. I was there at the first meeting when the show was originated, but way back in 1951, and I've been connected with the Tanhill show ever since.
Is it a place that actually has a lot of regulars? Because it's not a very highly populated area, is it?
Not now. There used to be, going back 20 odd years ago, but I don't know, with the breathalyzer that nowadays, there isn't as many people dare go out and have a drink. And I think that's killed it off, like the local trade. Like.
As well as being a Sunday night regular at the pub, Clifford is also the president of the annual sheep show. It's the event in the Tanhill calendar, and Clifford's been involved from day one, 48 years ago.
It's changed very little, really. It's just run very much similar to what it was at the start. Like, yeah, it's just the only thing is it's got bigger than what it was. Like, there's more sheep turns up.
One of the things, of course, you inherited when you moved in here was looking after the annual Tanhill sheep show.
Yes.
What was it like that first year?
Frightening. We didn't know what to expect at all. We had to go to the brewery to find out what gets ordered the year before. And that first year, I think we did 14 gallon of whiskey from just the farmers, but that's slowed down a lot now because they don't drink and drive like they used to do. Frightening. Didn't know what to expect.
Margaret and Alec Baines, and we'll be returning to Tanhill later in the programme to enjoy the unique spectacle of the annual sheep show. Now, you may think it odd that people who live in remote areas like this should pick an even remoter spot for the biggest day out of their year. But that's exactly what sheep farmers from all over the High Pennines and even further afield have been doing for the past 48 years. Yes, we're on our way back up to Tanhill for the incomparable Swaledale Sheep Show. Overnight, the bleak moor top is transformed into a noisy, colourful and intensely competitive carnival. And the reason is that to the breeders of some of the world's hardiest sheep, this is like the FA Cup and the last night of the proms rolled into one.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't intend to say so much to you. We're very fortunate today to have this lovely day. Last year, you know, it was terrible, like. You know what happened after that? It never stopped raining all summer. And I hope this carries on and improves. And I think I'd just like you to all stand and drink a toast to the success of Tanhill Show in the future years. Tanhill Show. Tanhill Show.
Lunch and speeches over, it was time to get down to the serious business of the day, the judging. With something like 6 hours of endeavour ahead, I went in search of familiar faces. And who better to start with than the legendary Fremy Hutchinson, Swaledale's last surviving lead miner and a former landlord of the pub. Why do you like to turn up to the show every year?
Huh?
Why do you like to come to Tanhill?
Well, a day like this, it's a day out. Don't you think so?
Do you come for the sheep or for the sustenance?
I like to hear the band.
Yes.
They always come. I have a look around the sheep, like.
And have a drink or two as well?
Well, you can't drink so much now when you're driving. No,
Yes, it stops a lot of people, doesn't it?
a couple of brandies will do.
It's taken them 12 and 45 minutes.
They said they were dragging the feet. They were sat at Muker having tea and toast.
What time did they set off?
Any excuse.
Well, I'm sorry.
I was slightly worried that Fremy might not get to hear the band. The Lofthouse and Middlesmore play here every year. They must have a masochistic streak, because whenever we've come across them, they've been playing in conditions that have been almost subarctic, whether at Tanhill or the Scar House Village annual reunion. This year, the conductor and one of the other musicians had decided to run the 40-odd miles from Nidderdale to Tanhill. They'd set off at 2 in the morning, and with 30 minutes to go before they were due to perform, they hadn't arrived. The rest of the band were beginning to get a little anxious, but modern technology was at hand.
Hey, Dad. Can you see the pub now? Marvellous. See you in a bit then. Bye. Woo! Shut up. It's a race.
Difficult way to get the pleasure. It's been perfect all day. Bullseye all day. Yeah, hold on.
So, the band made their 2 o'clock deadline by the skin of their teeth, not to mention the blisters on their feet. For me, it was back to the real reason for the show, the sheep and the hardy souls who breed them. There were familiar faces around the judging pens, and one family in particular, the Porters from Swaledale. We'd met John Porter at Mucker's show in 1992, and his son Brian a few years later at Eastgate and Weardale. Now, what have the Porter family got here today?
No, some gimmer sheep and some tubs, but we're not doing a great deal.
I saw your lads in the ring.
Yes.
They weren't doing too well with the tubs when I was watching.
They've got a second with a gimmer shealing, and it's good on the day. If you can get in first three, you're good.
Now, you're the man, of course, who is famous among Dale's Diary watchers for getting £57,000 for a penful of tubs at Hall's that year.
Yes,
Can you remember? You sold one of your tubs that year for, I think, £24,000.
Yes, yeah.
And then went out the next day and bought one for £35,000.
That's right, that's it,
A lot of people can't understand those fancy prices, you know.
No, it doesn't make sense, does it?
Is it still going on?
Well, no, it's not as, they're not making as much as they were. No, but it's, it's like anything else. If you like something, you buy it. Quality sheep always sell, always will do.
What is it about the Tanhill show, John, that appeals to you so much?
Well, it's first day off after lambing time. There are a lot of people. It's a good social occasion. And you meet people from all northern counties, and best sheep are here.
And would you say this is the pinnacle then, the Tanhill show?
Oh, it is for springtime of the year, yes. The best sheep that's here today, very good sheep.
And it must make a difference when it's a nice day like
this.
Yes, better. You can even smile when you don't get a prize.
Oh, you've got to keep smiling.
As the day wore on, more familiar faces made their way into the pub. Tommy Sharp, champion of the cause of the Mad Massam breed. Ted Banks, on leave from his caravan above East Witton. Mark Thompson, the artist and latterly pub owner from Reeth. And one face I recognised from our last visit. Stan Davis from Kirby Stephen has never missed a show. When we saw him previously, he was performing with Laurie Rukin, doyen of the Keld Singers. Sadly, Laurie couldn't make it, but Stan could, and his party piece, this time, most definitely wasn't the 23rd Psalm.
There was this fellow went to live in this big house, down valley, and he was living right next to this Lyle council house. And he went out, and this fellow had a right good garden. He says, why, you're a good gardener. He says, how do you make things grow? He says, I use dung. Oh, ding, he says, that's good stuff, ding. He says, where do I get that at? He says, a local farm up the dale there. He says, you'll get some dung. So I went and he says, knocked on the door. He says, I've come to live in the big house, he says, and they tell me that lad down there in the council house grows right good garden plants. And he says, I want some ding. Ding? He says, what's ding? Well, he says, that stuff that he puts among the soil, he says, to make his potatoes grow. He says, you mean dung? Yes, ding. Oh, well, he says, we've got cow dung, we've got horse dung. He says, we've got pig dung, sheep dung. He says, is it good quality? He says, listen, we don't sell shite here.
It's an extraordinary sight, isn't it? When you think that for most of the year this is an absolutely deserted place, all around the pub, and suddenly there are people everywhere.
Cars 2 miles either side of the pub, both sides of the road. Usually we have a policeman up here tries to do traffic control, but you can't tell farmers where to park. They go where they want, don't they?
There are no yellow lines up here.
No, not yet.
And in a way, the extreme conditions are almost part of the attraction, aren't they? If you're brave enough and tough enough to come up here, you deserve a good day out.
Yes, I think if you're guaranteed hot weather, I don't think it'd be half as popular. And it gives everybody something to complain about, doesn't it?
There can't be another pub like it anywhere in the country on show day.
Can't be, no. We get tourists coming up who just they think it's like this every day, I think. It's a very busy pub you've got, you certainly is.
Outside, the serious business of the day was reaching its climax. First up was Alec Baines with a £100 cheque for the best runner-up in the show. Then it was time for the moment that every Tanhill entrant covets, winning the accolade of Supreme Champion. Nail-biting stuff as usual, with a potential fortune to be made at the autumn sales. And for John Harrison from Sleddle, near Shap, the jackpot came up.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
John, what kind of show has it been for you?
It's been a very hard day and a very good show today, to be honest. It's been a very strong competition.
You've done well, haven't you?
We've had a good day, actually. Couldn't
apart
really have
from
done any better.
And what's it like to win at Tanhill?
Well, I suppose, to be honest, it's like winning the FA Cup final, whatever way you look at it. It's like winning the top competition there is, to be honest. And to win a spring show like Tanhill after a long lambing time, it like puts everything on top of the world, to be honest.
An apt sentiment to end a day at England's highest pub, run by a couple who may not have known what they were letting themselves in for when they arrived, but now they wouldn't change it for the world.
We'd never buy another pub because, well, we got the highest and remotest and everything else. That I couldn't imagine being in a town or a village with a pub. It's just Tanhill is Tanhill and that's it. You know, we jumped in at the deep end and still surviving.
And you've lasted 14 years. That's longer than a lot of people have lasted here, isn't it?
It is. You get less for murder, don't you?
The humour, the values and the lifestyle of the hill country encapsulated in the spectacle of Tanhill. And that, perhaps fittingly, brings us to the end not only of tonight's programme, but of the whole of the Dale's Diary series for another year. It's been a pleasure sharing the experience with you. It only remains for me to wish you many happy hours exploring further the quiet delights of this very special part of the world. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.